The spring of 2022 was supposed to be a beautiful season of spring flowers, but Russia suddenly launched a war to invade Ukraine, shattering the peace and bringing terrible disasters to the Ukrainian people. All but a few countries internationally are condemning Russia and opposing this war that Russia has started. As more and more Ukrainian refugees have to flee the war, several international rescue organizations are heading to the front lines of the battlefield in Ukraine for humanitarian rescue. Among them is a young and special rescue organization from the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China. They established a shuttle bus between Lviv, Ukraine, and Krakow, Poland, to rescue refugees from various countries who fled from Ukraine for safe. And they have established a refugee rescue base in the Polish border town of Medyka, where large numbers of Ukrainian women and children arrive daily. They set up the largest and best conditioned tent in the Medyka International Rescue Center. Every morning, international multilateral coordination meetings are held in this large tent in the best conditions for national rescue organizations. There is also freshly brewed coffee, heating, and a clean and tidy environment. Media reporters from around the world also come here, including Aggi Cantrill, a female reporter from Bloomberg, who came with the special purpose of interviewing Nicole, a volunteer with the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China. Her question revealed the particular purpose of her visit to the interview, which was not well intended.
Do you, just out of curiosity, because you clearly have like a political goal as well, the taking down of the Communist Party, do you think that there's a problem with conflating a political goal with humanitarian work?
First of all, I disagree because I think communism, taking down communism is a humanity issue. Communism has taken more than 80 million Chinese people's life. And we have seen the collapse of the Berlin Wall. You're from Berlin, right?
Yeah.
And so we see the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe. So taking down the communism is not a political agenda. This is a humanity issue.
She asked a surreptitious question in an attempt to discredit the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China's humanitarian relief operations, but did not expect Nicole's answer to directly puncture her surreptitious concept. Then she asked a question that again exposed her special purpose.
And could you tell me a bit more about the organization itself? It was started by Guo Wangwei.
Instead of her normal interview to learn about the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China, she directly stated the name of Mr. Miles Guo, whom she wanted to identify, and she delivered it in the exact same tone as Isobel Yeung, a female reporter for Vice Media.
This is Guo Wangwei. This is Guo Wangwei.
Isobel Yeung and Vice concocted 2 episodes in December 2021 and January 2022 specifically to smear and frame Mr. Miles Guo and Chinese people around the world. The shareholders behind Vice Media are PAG and its controller, Shan Weijian, who is a high-level agent and spy placed in the United States by the Chinese Communist Party. Aggi Cantrill and Isobel Yeung refer to Mr. Miles Guo by the exact same name. A logical assumption is that they have the same organization behind them. Let's take a look at Aggi Cantrill, who is from Berlin, Germany, lived in Beijing for 3 years, speaks fluent Chinese, and works for Bloomberg, which is controlled by Michael Rubens Bloomberg, known to the world as a close brother of Wang Qishan, one of the central figures of the Chinese Communist Party. It is now clear that the ultimate controller behind Aggi Cantrill, like Isobel Yeung, is the Chinese Communist Party. And Mr. Miles Guo is the Chinese man most feared by the Chinese Communist Party. Mr. Miles Guo started the whistleblower movement, and together with Mr. Steve Bannon of the United States, founded the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China, with the primary mission to overthrow the root source of all the world's disasters, the Chinese Communist Party, to return the illegal Chinese government, currently stolen by the Chinese Communist Party, to the Chinese people, and to establish a new China of rule of law, freedom, and democracy, living in friendship and peace with the world. And it is the Chinese Communist Party that is hiding behind this Russian invasion of Ukraine, so the Chinese Communist Party instructed Bloomberg and Aggi Cantrill to sabotage the Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China's humanitarian rescue operation in Ukraine. The last question of Aggi Cantrill's interview further exposes Bloomberg's attempt to hide the fact that the Chinese Communist Party is hiding behind Russia.
Okay, and just one last question on the situation in Ukraine. Officially, China has not wanted to actively back Russia. Do you think that they still have some influence there, or what do you?
But in fact, the Chinese Communist Party abstained in both votes at the UN condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. On March 7th, Chinese Communist Party's government official Wang Yi publicly called the friendship between Beijing and Moscow rock solid at a press conference. And on March 16, the United Nations International Court of Justice ruled by 13 votes to 2 that Russia should immediately cease military action in Ukraine, with the 2 judges who voted against the ruling coming from Russia and the illegal Chinese government controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And according to reliable information from the new federal state of China, the Chinese Communist Party's government has admitted with the US government that they support Russia's attack on Ukraine. Aggi Cantrill had hoped to be there to record what she hoped to get, and then use Bloomberg's usual disinformation campaign to turn black and white, deceive good people, and stigmatize and discredit the forces of justice against the Chinese Communist Party. But to Aggi Cantrill's disappointment once again, Nicole, a volunteer from the new federal state of China, still didn't get her way with her answers, so she hurriedly ended the interview, which was supposed to last 20 minutes. She went so far as to return twice after the interview, unreasonably demanding that the interview that had just been made public not be played and unreasonably asking the cameraman on site to delete the video that had just been recorded. The insidious but stupid female journalist Aggi Cantrill, like the insidious and stupid female vice media reporter Isobel Yeung, are journalists who have lost their professional ethics. The 2 media outlets they work for, Bloomberg and Vice, are both rogue media outlets with only money in their eyes, and they are both running dogs of the Chinese Communist Party. These rogue media and their unscrupulous journalists will be wiped out, along with the evil Chinese Communist Party, by the Just Rule of Law Foundation and the new federal state of China.